welcome to Good Game Pocket Edition, our wee weekly roundup of all things gaming. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex. This week we dive into the supernatural journey of Beyond Two Souls.
I just want to go out and have friends and be like other girls my age.
You'll never be like them. You need to get used to that.
But before we do any ghost whispering, let's hit the court with NBA 2K14. NBA 2K14 takes a more refined approach this year. Instead of wowing us with flashy new graphics, they focused on putting you in the oversized sneakers of basketball legend LeBron James.
To be the best, you have to work the hardest. You have to chase what seems impossible over and over and over again.
You guide him through his career highs and lows. So it's up to you whether he stays with his current team, Miami Heat, or tries his luck elsewhere.
And we'll see how well they're able to focus on the task at hand.
I enjoyed making history as opposed to reliving it.
The three from LeBron sinks it.
Along with James, the other big change up this year is the controls.
Quick flicks will produce a dizzying combo of dribbling tricks, and holding the stick in any direction will release a shot.
And you can count it. He'll go to the line with a chance to make it three.
You know, it sucks to have to break all the muscle memory from last year's game, but the changes are for the better.
I was quite impressed at the way the AI changes its tactics during play. So if you're having a lot of success using one guy, for example, they'll tend to shut him down as the match progresses. It keeps you on your toes.
LeBron up top. He's covered by Leonard.
And despite all of this polish, there are still a few oddities though. In-game players toss the odd goofy missed pass and sometimes run out of bounds, which I don't think professional players do very often.
And there's the pass to Badio.
And disappointingly, the My Career mode remains unchanged, so it's getting pretty stale these days.
We'd like to see what you think about your game as a whole.
This is a solid release, and I think most of the changes here are for the better, so I gave it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It was a 9 from me too. Next up, we lose ourselves in Rain. From the team behind Tokyo Jungle and Echochrome comes Rain, a story of two souls lost in a downpour. A child is in bed with a fever when he notices a girl on the street. He chases after her and suddenly realizes he's invisible. In this new ghostly form, he can only be seen by the outline of rain beating down on him. It's quite eerie playing a character with no physical body, but it plays well into the game's core mechanic, which is hiding.
The boy and the girl quickly encounter unknowns, terrifying creatures that hunt you down like a monster from a child's nightmare. You can't fight back at all, so you need to run and hide. Later on, things do get a bit more complex as you distract enemies with dolls or cover your tracks. But overall, it's pretty simple.
It is really beautiful though, isn't it? Every camera angle seems to have a purpose, either a practical one or just to be pleasant to look at. And the piano score balances well against the constant roar of rain.
The game's only a touch over 3 hours long, but they do a really good job of introducing you to the mechanics. And I feel like this is a game that could get frustrating and tedious really fast, but it doesn't overstay its welcome.
I still found some of the sections a little slow though. Moving blocks and climbing ladder puzzles just felt a bit like filler to me, so I gave it 6.
I think it's quite a lovely game, but it's a little bit overpriced. I still had a good time though. I gave it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens. Well, heck, should we go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk?
As always, yes.
Good game.
Okay, this week our question comes to us from Riley in Sydney, New South Wales. Hi Barjo and Hex, I am a big fan of the show. I was just wondering, do you know anything about Prey 2 and when it's coming out? I've been researching and researching, but I can't find anything new. Could you please reply and tell me if you know any info? Thanks. P.S. You guys all rock.
Ah, yes, poor old Prey 2. Well, Riley, as you probably know, Prey 2 looked great when it was revealed at E3 in 2011, but everything went very quiet after that, which is usually a bad sign.
Yeah, and then rumours began to surface that the game was in development hell and that perhaps it had actually been cancelled, which isn't so much a bad sign as it is a catastrophic one.
Then the game's publisher, Bethesda, confirmed that it had hit a few development snags and that the game wasn't hitting the level of quality they wanted. But they insisted that it was still very much in development.
More recently, rumours have started to spring up about Dishonored developer Arcane Studios taking over development of the game from Human Head, who had made the original version that we saw at E3. But Bethesda has emphatically denied that. Keep in mind, though, that those are all just rumours for now, and we'll have to wait for an official announcement before we can know for sure what's going on with it.
Whatever happens, though, at this rate, I'm going to guess it's going to be a next-gen game, so I'd say we'll be waiting a year or two for it at least.
Anyway, on that note, I think it's time for Year Review. And our user reviews have gone ballistic for one game in particular.
Let me guess, is it GTA 5?
You know it, Badge. And at the time of recording this, there are just shy of 250 user reviews for it. And looking through them quickly, I'd say that most of them are 9 or 10-star reviews.
Ain't the internet a beautiful thing, honey?
We know it's good, so really I'm only interested in the haters this week, I think, Badge. Like Harry here, who writes, "The price for the game may say it's good, but in reality, it's just boring. Half a star."
Mitch here also had some stern words, though, and wrote, "It not a game, it's games. They copied so much other games to make this game. I hate it. Half a star."
Likewise, Mr. Bean wasn't impressed and wrote, "This is such a bad game. I poo on its cover it. 1 star."
Well, I guess that's certainly one form of criticism. And Inheritor here did a bit of a bait and switch, giving the game half a star, but writing, nah, 10.
Well, 10 does seem to be the most common score among user reviews for GTA 5. But anyway, on that note, I think it's time to get back to the studio.
Yes, let's.
Good game.
From the creative mind of David Cage, the man behind Heavy Rain, comes Quantic Dream's latest video game experience, Beyond Two Souls. The game stars high-profile film actors Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. You might even mistake the box art for a movie poster.
You play as Jodie, a girl who, from the moment she was born, has been linked with an entity. A kind of poltergeist spirit that drifts along beside her. Jodie names the entity Aiden, and as the player, you can choose to inhabit Aiden just about at any time, to move through walls, disturb objects, and even occasionally possess other human beings. The timeline jumps around quite a bit as you play through different ages and stages in Jodie's life.
Jodie, where are you?
The various ages of the character are expertly captured by Ellen Page. They all feel so different. Jodie is a child facing the nightmares that slip through from the other realm. Jodie is a rebellious, moody teen.
I didn't ask to be different.
The game takes you through a huge range of experiences and places in order to tell this story, and the performances are all really incredible.
Eagle 5, requesting immediate extraction. Do you read?
Well, let's talk about the controls. However interesting this story may be, this more passive player experience will take some getting used to.
Yeah, you're basically taking part in a constant stream of QuickTime actions to affect how each moment in the scene plays out. You can still walk around and explore, but the game is quick to tell you when you're heading in the wrong direction, and that feels a bit obtrusive.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather it do that than have me floundering around wondering where to go.
I was just so irritated at how fixed the camera was in general. I know David Cage wants to direct these scenes like a film, but it's just so restrictive and annoying, and I was hoping they'd learn a few more lessons from Heavy Rain.
Yeah, although I did really like that you almost never have to repeat an action if you fail it. The scene just plays out in a different way. Controlling Aiden, thankfully, is fairly straightforward. He floats as an omnipresent force, and while you're always attached to Jodie by a metaphysical leash, the freedom to be able to go ahead and scope the landscape in front of you and create distractions is really great.
One really cool feature is that you can play this with another person in co-op on a touchscreen device. In fact, you can play the entire game connected to your PS3 via Wi-Fi. We tested this out, and given that the controls are so simple, it actually works quite well. It may seem strange at first, playing a role in such mundane actions, but this kind of storytelling is about making you feel more connected to the character than ever, and there is a wonderful sense of contrast. As one minute you might be fighting off spectral demons in the desert, and the next you might be chopping vegetables.
Ah, it's a roller coaster, Barjo. But I think the simplest scenes are almost more affecting because often those are the choices that end up carrying the most weight. And that might be for the story or for your personal relationship with the characters. The scene where Jodie is preparing for a date was one where I suddenly felt real ownership over the decisions I made for her, even though there were silly things like choosing what music to play or what to wear. Because I wanted her to be herself, and I suppose I related to that situation and the normalcy of it all. And Jodie's yearning for a normal life is ever present.
Jodie, I think there's something wrong with Aiden.
Give me a second. I'm fed up with you and your goddamn jealousy.
I think the game's greatest triumph is the way that it uses player choice to constantly change the experience.
Yeah, and some of these choices really do carry consequence, but then some just funnel you back into whatever decision the game wants you to make, which I find really irritating. I understand certain actions need to play out in order to tell a particular story, but then why give me the option if it's not going to have any effect on the outcome?
Just go to your room.
Yeah, there was a fair bit of that in Heavy Rain as well, the illusion of choice.
For me, this is one of those occasions where there are many obvious flaws, and even the core mechanics might be enough to turn people off. But once I was in this, I was in it. And it's a game that made me feel things, real things. You know, I played through multiple different endings just to see if the outcomes really were genuinely different, and I'm happy to say that they were.
I wish they'd learnt their lesson from Heavy Rain though, because some of these core mechanics and controls are just so frustrating and awkward, and they should have been improved upon. But even with this game's issues, I had a personal and connected experience, and that's a pretty rare thing for a game, so I gave it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Would I recommend this? Absolutely, but I can't guarantee that everyone will love it. I gave it 8.
Good game.
Now we've emptied everything out of our pockets for this week. Don't forget you can catch regular episodes of Good Game every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. on ABC2.
Yes, and next week we fight our way through the launch issues to bring you our GTA Online review. Get away from me.
Madness. Brilliant madness. Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Barjo out of here.